one character I really enjoyed was Cotton in this. Like, he was not really a major factor in the first movie, right? But here he's really central, right? So what did you think about him?
I didn't like him. Oh, he annoyed me every time he was on screen, if I'm honest. He just, when he seemed like, I get for the movie, like the story that they were trying to tell, like he was there, but it just seemed unnecessary for him to be like chasing this like 15 minutes of fame and being like so creepy. It seemed like he was more there, like in my opinion, to be like a red herring. It just annoyed me anytime he was on screen, because it's just like his character motivation of like trying to chase his like 15 minutes of fame. Maybe at that point it was sort of more relevant in terms of sort of you've had this like big thing, and you really want to get on like TV and like have your moment in back in like 1997. But I don't know, I just couldn't relate to it as well in 2024. I mean, it's funny enough because everyone's trying to have their 15 minutes of fame on social media, online, and doing like ridiculous things to sort of kind of like go viral and stuff like that. But his character just like grated me every time he was on screen.
I didn't take it as he wants to be famous. I took it as he's already paid the price and now he wants the reward. Right? Pretty so much. He's already spent a year of his life in prison for something he didn't do, and now he wants to get paid. And people keep trying to cheat him out of that payday, right? So Gail and Sydney and whoever else who's not being cooperative. And that is why he's so insistent, because that's probably his one chance. Like, it's not like he'll have another chance, right? Mm-hmm. The book has been written, the movie has been made, and he hasn't seen any of the money, right? But he's already paid the price with his with a year of his life, right? So yeah. I think he's pretty sympathetic. Like, he is like overbearing and he's pushy and all of that. But in terms of where he's coming from, I thought he was quite sympathetic, because he was thrown into this, like he was framed for this, right? And if I remember correctly from the first movie, he's just some guy, right? There's no reason why he was framed as opposed to somebody else. And so he kind of got just caught up in this, and now he wants some kind of compensation. And if this doesn't work out for him, then nothing will, right? Then he's missed his window, then the world has moved on, the story has been told, somebody else got paid. And I think that is why he gets increasingly insistent and pushy over the course of the movie, right? Because initially Gail lies to him about having set up an interview between him and Sydney, which turned out to be a lie. And he's furious when he finds out about that. And from that point on, he gets increasingly insistent towards Sydney, because if Gail is not going to help him, then the list of people who might is getting shorter and shorter, right? So I think that's interesting stuff going on here, especially when we're talking about this whole thing about fact and fiction and how reporters creating the reality they report on and stuff like that. Like, he's basically kind of a victim of that, but also he basically says, all right, given that I'm already in this position, I want to at least not walk away empty-handed. So I think there's some interesting stuff going on here, because now his entire life kind of revolves around this episode that he basically doesn't have anything to do with, right?
No, that's true. That's true. And I agree with what you're saying in terms of like the sort of kind of like the story behind his character, and I can kind of like recognize it throughout the movie. But maybe it was the way that it was acted, or maybe it was the way that it was sort of kind of like portrayed through the movie, which didn't just like bode well with me, because
he's definitely supposed to be off-putting, right? And he's aggressive and all of that. But I do think the movie sold me on why he is that way.
Like, I get that society's done you wrong, but for you to act in that way didn't necessarily I don't get why it translates into you being now, just creepy. Do you get what I'm saying?
I'd say he's desperate. He's desperate because he has one chance of getting something out of this, and that window is closing.
I understand. Okay, I can see it I understand. However, what I was going to also say was, I do kind of see why Sydney wrongly accused him, or would have thought that he was responsible for his mother's murder, the way that he was acting. So that did tell me a lot, because if I was thinking, like, how could you like, you know what I'm saying? Obviously in the first one, the question was if she wrongly accused the wrong person for the murder of her mother, right? So I think with that, right, I was thinking to myself, how the hell could she just unless she saw him, how could she just falsely accuse someone? And even though she didn't fully properly see the person, I do understand why she would think it would be him, just based on the way that he was acting in this movie. Because it was creepy, and there was times where he showed like moments of rage. I was like, yeah, I could. His character made sense for why he was there It was just the way that he was behaving. I think if we saw his character beforehand, then I think him acting just unnecessarily creepy would have made sense. But now, Daniel, that you added, okay, that was pretty much his last chance of reaping his rewards, of not gaining his rewards, same thing. But yeah, I would now kind of like make sense of how that can like lead to desperation, which desperation leads into you acting creepy.